Hello and welcome back. My name is Will Sherwood, and in this series of videos I've been looking at Bear McCreary's themes for The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. Now this is the final episode and I'm going to be looking at the final theme that we know of and then the surprising additional theme that was introduced not just in the episode, but Bear talks about it briefly in his blog post for episode 8. Obviously I recommend that you go and read them, they are really good. So we're going to talk about the Mithril theme, which is also the Rings of Power theme. My argument in this video is that it's actually the theme for the One Ring. I'll explain why as we go through. We're then going to look at the Forging theme, which has only been heard in episode 8. And it kind of ties in nicely to some of the motivic meaning that I've been establishing so far in these videos. So I'm not going to waste any time, I'm just going to jump straight in. There's a lot to cover. Okay, so we start with this theme right at the beginning of episode, well, about 20 minutes into episode 1? No, about 10 minutes into it. Yeah, 20 minutes into episode 1. Okay, so we have these mysterious opening chords, and that's the word that's been used, mysterious. But I want to dig a little bit deeper into what else is going on. So we're in the key of B flat minor, moving up to E minor. So tritone, straight away that's been established. That kind of movement out of the key, breaking that boundary. It's almost like B flat minor is the seen world, E minor is the unseen world. It's kind of blending together of the two worlds, these two keys and spheres together as one. So I think that's really important, rather than mystery, this idea of the incomprehensible, but there's also a sinister element to it, and what comes to mind when I think about minor tritone progressions is John Williams' theme for the Ark of the Covenant from the first Indiana Jones film. Similar in that you've got C minor, F sharp minor, C minor. So it's got a minor, using the tritone to develop in a minor key. But again, that kind of, there's something not quite right. It's not mystery, there's a warning here. There's a warning that this is not the right thing to do. Yes, it's going to give them the three rings, but it also leads towards the one ring. So I think there's almost kind of like a foreshadowing, in a way, in this work. I could be reading too much into that, but that's just my brain. English teacher, soon to be PhD student. There we go. So yeah, I think the tritone's quite important. Also, there's almost kind of like a similarity with Adar's theme there. I'm not going to read into that. I just thought it was quite cool to notice above anything else. Okay, so we go into the melody. Now, I think with the melody, there's some similarities with Sauron's theme, and I'll explain why. And there we go, it just kind of repeats and repeats, varying it a little bit with the instrumentation. So, if we look at Sauron, you've got this kind of snaking pattern, Bear's commented as well, that kind of cyclical feel. cyclical. So the opening 3 rings for the elven kings. It's a cycle coming in on itself. This idea of it kind of the melody is almost kind of collapsing in on itself for the first phrase, under the sky, and the second part of that phrase collapses in. So not the same exactly as Sauron, because that's a very tight use of minor thirds, but here the fifth, it's like a smaller, a more truncated version of that opening. Also a minor third. Not reading into that, but I think that similarity with Sauron is actually quite important. I don't know if Bear intended that, but it's a possible reading that we could bring into it. So yeah, but I think it's useful. Most of this is minor chords, so you've got B flat minor, E minor. You do have a C major in there. I think the C major helps to just remind us that this is within this version of this adaptation of Tolkien's mythology. Mithril comes from the lost Silmaril of Fëanor. So it's not just moody, it's not just foreboding, it's not just full of a history of bloodshed. There is light in this magical, mystical substance. So yes, mystery and death, but there is hope still, and the elves obviously are yearning to use this to save their own existence, or else they will wither and die. This is kind of going down the more the hard magic route that Tolkien didn't really work with. He worked with the soft magic. Instead, the idea that, so like Harry Potter is hard magic systems, it's all kind of layered and there's rules to everything, and therefore she ended up breaking loads of those rules, and then the films just got ridiculous. Lord of the Rings, it's a little bit more vague. The rules definitely aren't rules, but there's also there's more, but I could waffle on, but I won't waffle on. Okay, so with this in this thing, I think this is useful. So although the chord moves, the melody has to resolve. So you end up with a minor second and a tritone. That really that dissonant extremity there. So not only do you basically got the two most dissonant intervals on a keyboard that have been squelched into this one moment onto, for the elven kings, 7 for the dwarf lords, 9 for mortal men. So it's almost kind of like the race itself. Sauron is trying to slice his way in and control them. So here comes Sauron. So yeah, useful. I also think I've talked about that cyclical motion, but also Sauron's B theme. You've got, if we go back, it's the same. I don't know if this is conscious or not, but so it's literally the same. So I think he's really working and grinding together the DNA of Sauron with the rings, and obviously Sauron is supposed, in the form of Annatar, is supposed to have had significant involvement in the creation of the rings. We haven't had Annatar appear yet, and apparently, Callum Brimble didn't even know about alloys, and someone had to teach him. There you go. But again, loads of things are going on with that theme, which I just think works really well. Talked about that. This bit here. So in the land, tritone, resolving back up onto the fifth. this song is full of dissonance, and I think it's useful at this point to talk about this, because there's been loads of people saying that, oh, well, it's just a knockoff of Gollum's song from The Two Towers. It sounds like he's trying to do Gollum's song. It's like, well, I can see where you're coming from, and yes, I understand why you think that, but it's not the same. The chords are different. So Gollum's song. So Gollum's song, if I'm looking at the music here, G minor to B minor. Now from G to B, that's a major third. So it's not a tritone. If you're doing a tritone, that's what he would do. That is Bear's, because he's using the tritone. Howard Shaw doesn't. He goes to the major third instead. So I think what's useful, you've got... You've got the B flat. Which rises up a semitone. Now, if you think about... That's where I think the similarity, and people are like, oh, well, he's just trying to knock it off. It's like, yes, okay, so there's a similarity in that there's kind of like this, it wants to rise up. But it is different. The chords are different. The style and the mood is different. And also Gollum's theme is a minor sixth. So, and even then when you get to the, when you get into Orodruin and Mount Doom itself, so Gollum's song and Gollum's theme is different. So that is useful to note. Putting it away. Okay, so tick, done that, tick, done that, tick, done that. I've talked about, the cyclical motion. I think the only thing you could really add into this cyclical feeling is that there's a sense of introspection to it almost. Something being closed off, which ultimately is what the elves are trying to do. They're trying to close off their own lands. So if we see this theme not just as Sauron's musical DNA being imprinted on this, on these objects, but also from an elvish perspective, it's there for protection. So they create a barrier. Although it will ultimately bring around their ruin, thanks to Sauron. So yeah, useful things here. I think also if we were to just quickly tie into the ring theme that Shaw did, he started on a tritone, resolving, Bear, tritone, dissonance, resolving. So I think there's a similar use in language here, but I'm not saying it is the same. So because Shaw's theme is still very different, and although it has a cyclical feel to it, it's a lot more like, it's very tiny. Whereas it's quite broad and quite big. So yeah, useful moment. And Doug Adams does say how the fact that the Rings theme suggests two tonalities at the same time, it reveals the Rings' own duplicity and deceitful nature. This idea that it was forged in secret. The Rings of Power themselves, you know, within the Rings of Power universe, Galadriel says, you know, no one can know about this. This is our, you know, this is our task to bear. So again, this idea of secrecy and concealment is just a useful thing to add. Okay, Forge theme, the final, this is it, this is the final one. So the Forge theme goes a little bit like this. Let's so it's in sixes, the so automatically we should get a sense of pace, of kind of a rushed feel. It's almost quite anxious actually, as if it's consistently driving forward. There's no room for rest. Okay, so within this, it's emphasising the minor, but that minor sixth. Okay, so think of Gollum's theme. Not the same, but again, cyclical. This kind of driving motion, almost kind of like a motor, like we were saying with the dwarves theme. That there's something quite industrial about it. There's something quite industrial about this theme, the Forge theme as well. It's a nice, small, tight idea, but still plenty going on. The minor sixth, as I said for Arondir and Bronwyn and Arondir's theme. Arondir and Bronwyn's theme. I can't remember, but that minor sixth is a very passionate leap. Going into the Tristan chord, go look at that ridiculously long video where I talk about the importance of that leap within the Romantic period. That it's got origins a lot further back. It's used in the Baroque period as well, but here Bear's using it again for not necessarily passion, but a sense of exertion going forward. And although on the blog post you'll just see it literally going, that's all it will do. When you listen to it, it sounds, there's more to it. He layers this over the ring theme. Yeah, as I'm saying, the ring theme. So he's moving it around, the starting B minor, down to, no, start with F minor, down to B minor, that's quite nice. You've got that minor six still there, but within the key itself, major seventh, and then up to a G major chord. But here, think Rivendell. Okay, so if you've heard the like the opening sequence for when the Marvel symbol is rolling in, you've got this again emphasising a minor sixth on a major chord. Sense of majesty to it, not sensationalism, I don't know where my mind's going then, but a sense of awe, I think, is what, remembering, tying back into Fëanor's Silmaril. So yeah, it's a neat little theme, and obviously we'll get this back. Anyway, that's it. That's my my key theory, that the Rings of Power theme is actually the theme for the One Ring. I could be wrong, but again, this is just about having a bit of fun. And that's it. That's all I've got. Thank you very much for joining me on this journey. It's been a lot of fun to record all of these videos. It's ridiculous. I don't know how many hours I've recorded overall, but there's quite a bit. So hopefully season 2 I can kind of go a little bit more into it. So Gil-galad apparently has a theme, and considering Gil-galad is famous for his spear Aeglis, I'm almost I have this vision in my head that Gil-galad's theme will almost be a bit like Wotan's theme, which literally, when you look at the sheet music, is like them. It's not exactly that. I don't know the notes off by heart, but it's this just the idea. It literally looks like a spear going down, and then the Valkyrie apparently is supposed to be like this massive deconstruction and analysis of Wotan's theme and this idea of patriarchal power, blah blah blah. I could be completely wrong. He might have an incredible different type of theme for Gil-galad, but it's just a bit of an idea that I have in my head at the moment. So yeah, other than that, thank you very much. I'm going to stop rambling, and I'll see you for season 2.